Hey, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. It's been a crazy Monday, September 30th. We just saw Atlanta and New York Mets battling it out. We're going to get to that on the other side because when we do these prediction videos, we always start with the American League, which is been solidified at least since yesterday with knowing who is going to play and who is going to be in the pitching matchups, at least for the first day. Guys, before I jump in, we are so close. 1,500 was the goal by the end of the season for subscribers. So if you are new finding this video now, please subscribe. We continue this on. We do football the rest of the season for that when this ends, but we are going to talk playoffs. Baseball is the forefront of this channel. So guys, if you missed it, joining at the end of the season, we'll see you for next year and for the rest of the playoffs. But let's jump into it. The playoff picture in the American League didn't really finish, I don't think, what I expected. For the most part, a lot of these teams weren't in my prediction. I do prediction videos for playoffs in August and July, and of course, not exactly right. When I did the ones in August, I did not have the Royals making it in, did not have the Tigers, which I don't think in August anyone really had the Tigers, so that'll be fun. But Orioles kind of been stapled in that number 4 spot for quite some time. They did battle it out with the Yankees for a while there, of course. Guardians kind of started running away with this division over the past month as well. Twins didn't make it. Mariners didn't make it. Mariners 1 game short, and we can even look back to a game where they had like an 8-run lead over the Royals earlier in the year, and they blew that one. So that's fun stuff to talk about. But guys, we're here to talk about the playoffs that are happening. We're going to start things off here with the Baltimore Orioles versus the Kansas City Royals. So now at this point on Monday, halfway through the day, we only have announced pitchers for tomorrow for the American League. On the National League side of things, they haven't announced yet, and obviously I think that has a lot to do with the Mets and Braves playing the back-to-back games today. But for Baltimore and the Royals, we're going to see Corbin Burnes going tomorrow against Reagans, and then after that, the Orioles haven't announced who they are going to go, but we do know the Royals are the only team that have announced all 3 of their pitchers. They're going to go Seth Lugo as their number 2, and then Michael Wacha as number 3. It's quite an intense 3-punch combo. And when the Orioles, it's going to be a must-win situation for them, especially in Game 1, in my opinion. Corbin Burnes, the ace, what they brought him in here to do was to win these specific games. If they fail to win Game 1, I do believe that the Royals are going to be able to maybe win in 2, but probably I think they do have the advantage when it comes to starting pitching. And come playoff baseball, pitching matters a lot. As well, when it comes to bullpen situation, I do give the nod a little bit again to the Royals. And we have seen the Orioles struggle a lot over the past couple of months, especially when it comes to the offensive, especially when it comes to runners in scoring position. But at the same time, they have been able to get a couple of their guys back that are going to be impactful in this lineup just in time for the playoffs. But in my opinion, it's going to be a little bit too late. I do think this game is going to go 3. I think the Corbin Burnes is going to squeak out a win, and it must be a win. He's got to go deep in this game tomorrow. And then I do believe the Royals, over the grand scheme of things, do have the advantage. So I do have the Royals winning this series in 3. And they would move on to play the Yankees. Again, if you have the Orioles, they'll play the Yankees. It's a bracket style when it comes to the MLB. It's a best of 3. The Orioles do have the home field advantage. Keep that in mind as well. But I do have the Royals walking away with this. I think if we looked at the season, I didn't go and look at all this, but I do believe the Orioles do have the season series 4-2, just going off my memory here. In the other series, this one is going to be super exciting overall, guys. The playoffs is going to be, it's so lit. Any of these teams, in my opinion, have a shot to win the World Series. I guess that's just cliche, because if you're in, you have a shot. But Houston versus Detroit, no one had Detroit at this point making it in, and they just were the hottest team over the last stretch here. For them, they're going to be going up against the veteran Astros, a team that has been here in the ALCS time and time again, season after season. And as far as that goes, the one advantage, of course, that Detroit has is going to be Tarek Skubal. He's going in Game 1. He's going against Valdez. And that is going to be a must-win situation. If Detroit can get ahead 1-0 on the Astros, that, of course, does a world of wonder for them. And that Cy Young, Tarek Skubal, has been pitching elite. And I would kind of expect them to win that one. At the same time, I do not discount the Astros. Overall, looking at the grand scheme of things, the Astros are at home. Detroit is this young and up-and-coming team. Who is the hottest? So this is one of the toughest ones to pick. I do kind of lean Detroit just because of the Scooble factor. I think that ranks a big impact. Winning game one, of course, is going to mean big things because you have the advantage of how to play in game two. You can hold off the gas a little bit. You can afford to make mistakes, whereas if you are that losing team, you cannot afford to make mistakes. That being said, I am not going to discount, and I'm just going to go off what I feel in my gut, looking at odds, looking at a team that's been here and done that, and I have to go with the Houston Astros going on to round number 2. Now, when we get into round number 2, it goes into a best-of-5 situation. It's no longer the team that has the higher seed hosting all of the home games. They're going to rotate 2 games apiece, with the third game being with the advantage to the team that got the first round bye. The Yankees at the Royals. It's going to be pretty much, in my opinion, a little bit of a lopsided situation here. I expect the Yankees to kind of handle business here, 3 games to maybe 1. Royals, having thrown everything in the kitchen sink in that series against the Orioles, they're going to have to go out there with their 4th string pitcher in my books, the way I'm predicting. Maybe if they're lucky, they're going to be able to put Reagans out right away. I don't know how the buys work, but I'm pretty sure after 3 games, you go immediately the next day into the next game. I didn't look into that. So if that's different, it might make a little bit of a difference, but it's not going to make a difference in my prediction here. Overall, we got Judge, we got Soto. Of course, on the other side, we had a lot of young guys. Bobby Witt Jr. leading the league in average on this side of the board. And the Yankees are going to have all the rest, all the couple of days off. They're going to have these guys that are hungry and I'm kind of setting up for something here. But I do think the Yankees are going to move on to the ALCS. Following that, we're going to have the Guardians, who are going to have that 3-run bye. And I did have Houston winning in 3. I don't know if I specified that in the other situation. So again, we're going to have the latter end of the Houston Astros here. I think we're going to maybe see Kikuchi go out in the first game of this series. Not exactly what you want to do going into the Guardians' home stadium, where some balls can really go flying and Josh Naylor or some other guy's going to do some damage. I expect Guardians to come out there and win game 1 probably shouldn't say easily, but I do want game 1 going there. So at that point, they're going to have a little bit of advantage. Astros going to have to play makeup, and that's part of the reason of the advantage with the bye, and I think that's going to play a big impact in this series. Do you think these guys go the full distance 5-game set? And right now I am leading that it's going to be the Cleveland Guardians coming out of that. I just think the byes are going to play very impactful because the first round of this bracket is going to go the distance on all those games, and we're going to see it carry over into this next series. The bullpen on the Guardian side is going to really help them close out any lead that they get. And I think they're going to be able to pull up some leads against this Astros team that has not been tested as much as the rest of this team on this board over the last month or so. The Astros somewhat had an easier schedule. They played a lot of the weaker teams over the last month. Don't know if that really means much, but to me, it kind of holds them back a little bit. When we get into a game 7 here, we're going to have Yankees versus Guardians. And overall, I'm pretty sure the season series went to the Yankees in this one, and I do expect this one to kind of be the same. The Yankees, in my opinion, are just a little bit stronger. They made that one impactful trade at the deadline that really bolstered their lineup. The one concern, of course, starts getting to the bullpen with Holmes that has not secured that end of the game for the Yankees, and the Yankees haven't really found that guy that closes out games that could become very impactful when it comes time for the World Series and the ALCS and the games when they get to the best of 7. Overall, though, I think I talked about this a lot when I did power ranking videos all season long. The Guardians, while they are solid and they have played .600 baseball for the majority of the season, my concern is just whether or not they can win the best of 7 series, and that concern kind of sticks with me still. I do not believe, that the Yankees are on the other side, showing that they can do a best of 7 as well. We've seen it over years past, always losing to Houston. For them, they're not going to have Houston in their way this time. They're not going to have trash cans in their way. And I do believe that they are going to come out victorious in the American League side of things here in the bracket. I think the Yankees take the Guardians in 6 and will be moving on to the World Series, where we are going to discuss who they will be playing next. All right, guys, we are back in the National League, and as you can see, we got Atlanta in 5, New York Mets in 6, and if you watch the games today, it was back and forth, especially in that first game to see who was going to clinch that spot first. And that was the New York Mets, who had Francisco Lindor, really MVP caliber of a season, just lifting that Mets team into the postseason. Atlanta does bounce back with the second game win, which leaves the Arizona Diamondbacks on the outside looking in. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but Arizona pretty much had their fate in their hands. Maybe I cursed them by giving them 3 weeks in a row at the number 1 spot on the power rankings. Really thought they would pull through. In my opinion, they are a much better team and should have been able to beat in this bracket. But the wheels came off that wagon. We're not going to jump to it because we have too much to discuss here. San Diego and Atlanta. Atlanta now leaving Atlanta and on their way to San Diego. They'll be there tomorrow to play the first game. And of course, we're probably going to see Dylan Cease come out for the San Diego Padres. I think he has enough days rest since his last outing, pretty sure. And on the other side, Atlanta, it's an interesting situation because we would have thought we would have saw Chris Sale today. There was like a back injury apparently going on. Maybe they're just kind of having an excuse ready just in case they got in that he'd be able to pitch this first game. But at the end of the day, Atlanta needs to see Chris Sale in this series to have a chance, in my opinion. And San Diego going to continue to send out Musgrove, Darvish, and other guys as well, like Michael King as well, if they need to go that far. But overall, I do think the Padres are the much better team in this lineup. Padres did get a big advantage in my books that they are going to play a team that had to go and win the last game. They threw everything they had. We saw a couple guys, maybe on both these teams, where they had bullpen guys, core guys in their bullpen, pitch in both of the games. So I don't know if those guys are going to be ready to go for game 1. Maybe game 1 is okay to be a wash, but it is a 3-game series on the road, so every game does matter. So realistically, I'm not quite sure what was going on. I understand for Atlanta, they needed to win. But on the other side, end of the day, I do have the Padres winning this. We are setting up what will be an epic match between the Dodgers and the Padres. I do think the Padres are just going to win this one in 2. I don't think Atlanta is going to make progress, going to at least maybe push this to 3, but I don't think they're going to win it. Again, Atlanta's been one of those teams, if you follow my predictions all season, I've been kind of underselling them ever since the injury to Acuna. I've been like, oh, they're going to fall out of the playoffs. They're going to fall out of the playoffs. And they've just been sticking around. Very much like I said on the other side of the board, anyone on this team, on this side of the bracket, could win it. And I'm not discounting that, especially in this first round when you're playing best of 3. We all know all these teams are capable of winning 2 out of 3 games against anyone in the league. So just keep that in mind. These predictions are very difficult. If I do go perfect, though, call me Hartrodamus. Moving on to the next game, we got Milwaukee Brewers. Yes, I know the logo is not updated yet. Against the New York Mets. And the Brewers had the benefit. They've had this spot clinched. I think they were the first team out of the entire league to have a playoff spot clinched. So they've been chomping at the bit to play some more meaningful baseball. I don't think that's going to harm them. They've kind of been in this situation for the last number of years. They've been able to sneak in, but not really making the deep run that you would thought. I did predict them to go deep in this back in August, and I do still think they are going to be capable of at least getting past this New York Mets team. I think at least for them, they made the additions to the starting rotation for this specific reason. They're going to, of course, have Freddie Peralta likely go for game 1, but we've also seen that teams don't necessarily put out their top guy for game 1, so I'm kind of interested in what they're going to do. But Freddie Peralta, they got Savali, and of course, Frankie Montez as well as probably their 3 core. On the other side, the Mets, they've been playing meaningful baseball for a long time. They're going to have a lot to make up. Of course, like Detroit, they're one of the hottest teams in all of baseball leading up to this. So it's not going to be inconceivable that they get it through. But I do have Milwaukee Brewers being it. That leads us to probably which could be the most epic series we're going to see in terms of the entire playoffs. These guys have been battling for years and years and years. And San Diego so far this season has had the Dodgers number. But of course, we see people like Ohtani getting his first real chance at playoff baseball, which we want to see what a guy like him is capable of. Is he going to step up? Is he going to carry this team? Are we going to see Derek Jeter level Yankee stuff happening on this? I'm very much excited to see Ohtani suit up in a playoff environment, especially against such a division rival like the Padres. These guys are going to battle it out. If the Padres do manage to get past Atlanta in the first 2 games, they're going to have a little bit of a rest. They're not going to be too affected, I think, from that, and be able to match up for that. Dodgers, in my opinion, have not been on top of their game as much as we would like to see, but they do have the benefit of having that extra rest. Are they going to be able to mix and match their starting pitchers properly, having a chance to look at San Diego a little bit? I think overall, if they matched up without rest, without on the same playing field, I might lean San Diego, but right now, I am leaning towards the LA Dodgers as winning this one, but it's going 5. We're going to see 5 games because that's what the fans are paying to see. Moving on to the bottom of the bracket here, I got Philly, I got Milwaukee Brewers. Didn't say, I'm going 3 for this one, by the way. Philly, going to have a chance to get that rest. They're going to send out their aces. I do think this is kind of going to be a series that might be possibly the most lopsided one we see in the entire division round, but at the same time, I never should discount Milwaukee because they have shown run differential wise they are capable of putting on offensive showing. The pitching has been stellar. The bullpen has been pretty solid. So overall, I think they are very well capable of winning the series. I am leaning Philadelphia. I do think they've been here, done it, had the number of Milwaukee in the past as well in these kind of situations, as well as I think they have unfinished business for last year, and I think that is going to play a big impact here, and they're going to come out guns up blazing. I think they're going to have a 2-game lead right out of the gate, and maybe they'll lose one. They might get the sweep, but I'd kind of see it going in 4. And that leads us to a National League Championship Series here, which I'm trying to think back if we've seen this one over the past number of years. I know Dodgers get there. I know Phillies have been in the mix a lot too. I can't recall if these guys have actually met in the championship series, but if they have, I'm forgetting. Let me know in the comments below. But best of 7, this could go epically. I think this would be a fun series to watch. As one, maybe it's me trying to put it out there because I want to watch it more than anything I'm predicting. But I think when these guys go to 7, it could go either way, and I do think it's not going to be a best of 7. Even though I'm saying it could go either way, I think one team is going to kind of get out to a lead and kind of walk away with the series. And right now, my gut and my feelings are telling me that it's not quite Shohei Ohtani time, and that it is going to be the Philadelphia Phillies moving on to the World Series, because why not, right? And that would make them play, if you watch the other side of the bracket, got them up against the New York Yankees, which would be a pretty epic series. I think these two teams match up very well. Both of them have pretty solid batting lineups with some core guys who are just absolutely mashers. They also have some questionable situations that aren't as solidified in terms of bullpen. Maybe the rotations aren't as solidified as some of these other teams that we talk about. So overall, I think these two teams are very similar when it comes to paper, and this is going to make a really good World Series in which I could go either way. And right now, if you've been a fan of this channel for a long time, you know deep down inside I'm a Blue Jays fan through and through. It hurts me that they're not here in the playoffs this season. It hurts me that they had such a terrible year. This is going to be a little short Blue Jays rant. And what really hurts me is that right now I am predicting the New York Yankees to be World Series champions when all is said and done. A lot of people are just going to say, oh, typical New York fan, blah, blah, blah. But I think out of all the seasons I've done this, even throughout the rest of the year, this year, August and July, like I said, I do these throughout the year. I don't think I've ever picked the Yankees to actually win it all. But right now, it's kind of feels like that's what's shaping up to happen. I think last year I might have predicted them to make it to the championship, but I don't think I predicted them to win. I have to go back and look, but I'm not going to be honest. But here we are, New York Yankees. Maybe it's a cop-out, but I do think overall it's what I'm thinking. So let me know what you guys think. Where have I gone out to lunch completely on this board? Where would you think is something I'm not considering in terms of matchups? Even on the American League side, is there something I wasn't considering and that I talked about that was just completely wrong? I'd love to hear it. I'd love to keep the discussion continuing to go. We do keep it rolling on the Discord. If you are interested in that, join up. We'll see you there. Otherwise, guys, we will see you for that next video.